Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves journey through through Hollywood, right? Through the Hollywood experience. And today specifically, I want to talk about. I watched Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves 4 times on the big screen. 4 times on the big screen. I was extremely excited to see it there, and I've actually captured a good bit of that journey and talked about it, but I haven't even remotely talked about everything I would want to talk about as far as my journey with the movie, with me. Okay, the creators create the art, the experiencers experience the art, and that is, it's more than transactional. It forges a relationship between the artist creator and the artist viewer, the artist experiencer. And I have a journey with Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and it's mine and it's personal, and you have a journey with Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and it's yours and it's personal. And I think it's really interesting. So what I want to talk about today is Dungeons and Dragons on MGM Plus, the streaming service, right? Which is the place where I watched Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves for the 5th time, right? And I watched it on May 30th, 2023, and I watched Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves on the small screen for the first time, and it was my 5th time viewing it. And I want to talk about what that means. So let's get into this. So first of all, I never expected to watch Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves on MGM Plus, right? It was just a complete accident that happened. Now, the reason why it happened, though, is one of the things that I'm doing is I care very deeply about Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, so I'm paying hyper close attention to it, even as the world begins to forget it, right? Now, this, and we don't really know what the fate of Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves is going to be. We don't know what the fate, we really don't know what the fate of, what is, and so I think maybe one of the best ways to describe this is what is the fate of what will be the fate of Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves? And it is bouncing around right now. It's going into unusual spaces, and I think things are happening to it that people didn't expect. And I know that for a fact, because I definitely never expected to see Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves on MGM Plus. So how did that happen, right? So first of all, I'm just like you. I watch television. I enjoy television, but I might watch it a little bit different than you. This is the entire point, right? Dungeons and Dragons has dramatically changed how I do every single thing in life. It doesn't like that, and I think that's the interesting. Okay, I'm taking a long time to get to my point. I appreciate it. Let me get all the way there. I don't care about streaming services, right? I used to be able to say that. I can't say that anymore, right? I care a lot about streaming services because I care about the fate of Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. And Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves very well may be carried specifically on the back, right? Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves may be carried very specifically on the back of streaming services, right? And so I have to pay hyper close attention to streaming services, which I didn't want to care about, but I need to care about them very, very much now, because I'm in a situation where I need to know about streaming services, literally, so I know the fate of Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. And this is why I think Dungeons and Dragons is so special, right? When you choose the path of Dungeons and Dragons and you begin to journey with Dungeons and Dragons, not just play Dungeons and Dragons the way the rest of the world interacts with it, but when you commit yourself to journeying with Dungeons and Dragons, it makes you care about every single thing in the world. You no longer function as a normal human, because combat, interaction, and exploration are these critical core aspects that you now have to interact with in a completely different and completely unique way, right? And so let's talk about it. So how did I watch? So how did I get to the point where I watched MGM? Where I watched Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves on MGM Plus. So basically, I was in a show hole. I didn't know what to watch next, and so I went and I watched. I specifically watched the film. I went and I watched the series From. It's brilliant. No spoilers here. It's a shockingly good, extremely underrated show. Very few people are watching it, and it's on MGM Plus. It's one of the shows on MGM Plus. MGM Plus probably shouldn't be a streaming service. It should be a set of content. It should be one bar on another streaming service. I'm sure you've never even heard of MGM Plus, right? I was surprised it even existed. I didn't even know it existed, right? So I watched this show called From, and I was able to watch the first season for free on Prime. But then on Prime, I got the 1 week free trial, fully intending to cancel it on day 6 to watch literally the other 6 episodes of From. But then on the second or third day of watching From, then I reached a point where I reached this point, and this is really fascinating to me, where they said, hey, you can watch. They served it up to me as a thumbnail and said, you can watch. Actually, it's like a banner. They're like, because you have MGM Plus, you can watch Dungeons and Dragons for free. And I was like, what? It's like, yeah, that's kind of odd. Like, okay, So as soon as I'd watched the 6 episodes of From, I'm like, I can squeeze in one watching of Dungeons and Dragons, right? So Dungeons and Dragons I have no idea why Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves is streaming right now for free on MGM Plus. Nobody expected this. We don't understand what the relationship is with MGM Plus that Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves was streamed there, but it is streaming there for free. I knew that if I got Paramount Plus, I would be able to watch it for free, right? But Paramount Plus is $9.99 a month, right? And I'm like, I don't want to pay $9.99 a month for Paramount Plus. I already have a bunch of streamers I pay for. And so I got to watch it. I got to watch Dungeons & Dragons. My first viewing of Dungeons & Dragons on the small screen, I got to watch it for free on MGM Plus. And then I canceled MGM Plus, and I was expecting, the moment I canceled, I was like, okay, I've canceled MGM Plus. I can't watch Dungeons & Dragons anymore. But that was not the case. My free journey, my free viewing ends on June 3rd. Right? Now it's March 31st. I'm going to be able to watch it a 6th time for free. Right? And so I'm going to get another viewing for free of Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Very interesting. Very interesting, right? Not expected. Right? And now, at this point, I was going to just buy it, right? Like, spend $25 and get a digital version. But now I'm like, wait a second. I'm not going to buy the digital of Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. I'm going to watch it again for free, right? On the viewing that I can do right now, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to not be able to watch Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves for a period of time until I reach the point where I'm like, I have to see it, right? And then when I want to see Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, rather than having paid X amount and I can watch it whenever I want, now what I'll do is I'll say, okay, I want to watch Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Where is it? Right? That might be a month, 2 months from now. I'll say, where is it? If it's on Paramount Plus, I'll pay $9.99 to watch Dungeons & Dragons, not once, but $9.99 to get an entire month of Paramount Plus, right? And because I want to watch Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, it will unlock an entire month of Paramount Plus for me. And maybe I'll watch an entire season of Star Trek. Anyone I want to, right? And so what's interesting is Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves is now this key element that connects me to much bigger things. And its purchase is far more complicated than any purchase of anything I've ever had before, right? Like, this is the part, right? Don't do the easy thing. Schmucks would just buy it as a digital, buy it as a Blu-ray, and the journey would be done for them, right? But every time I want to watch Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, I'll have this journey of where is it now? I'll pay to see it then, and I'll get all this other content because these things are connected to Dungeons and Dragons. And so the entire point of this story is to tell you my continuing journey with Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, and to encourage you to think about your journey with Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, right? And we're no longer regular purchases. Don't be a sad sack schmuck, right? Don't purchase things in the simple way. Purchase things in the journey way, right? And let the things that are connected to Dungeons and Dragons, let yourself experience them and let them experience you. That's my entire point. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking, subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.